Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Great
Hello.
Transition.
I wow.
It's upon us, guys. We were wondering when it's going to happen. Everybody may feel normal, but what's happening now is like life before the cell phone till after the cell phone. We're now, I think, almost 2 weeks. We're like, it's hard to believe. We're like 2 weeks into AI entering our lives, and it's upon us. What does this mean spiritually? Well, we'll talk about it. We are three students of the Kabbalist Rav Lightman. We are looking at what is going on in the world through the lens of the authentic wisdom of Kabbalah. We love being here. We love talking about this with you. We love talking about these things in as normal, clear language as possible. We're not talking about the Sfirot, the Partsufim. We love also talking about that, but you can come to our Kabbalah classes if you want to hear about that, or we'll probably even talk about it a little bit at the upcoming retreat, which we'll talk to you about. But here we're just talking about it through it's a natural science through what is going on in the world. And what is this material world, which science already understands is an illusion. It's built out of our perception. So what are we perceiving? Why are we perceiving? What is the purpose of it all? Welcome, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
All
thank
right.
you. First of all, pleasure to be
Okay.
here. And let me tell you, we did a show about ChatGPT initially. We did I remember we even made the thumbnail with it. We made the description with it. We were impressed. I mean, and then there was a few weeks went by, we were still impressed. And so it's not exactly okay, it's not exactly 2 weeks into it. We're kind of into it, but some kind of big wave happened, right?
Yeah, so there's this thing called a large language model, where, okay, basically what happens is there's a technology now that's been trained on billions, I don't know how many words across the whole internet. So you take all
Trillions.
of the trillions, you take all of the text output, and actually not only text, now even images. You take all of the output that's online created by people, and now this technology has read it, ingested it, uses it, reports, web pages, books, movies, and it then creates responses. That's its foundation. You have all of the output, all the information of humanity, and it answers you based on that. It predicts the next word to say based on all of the words ever been said, all of the thoughts ever been published. So you don't, what's fascinating and incredible is you don't need to be a computer programmer. You don't need to know anything fancy. Just with regular conversational language, you can communicate with this. So I don't know if it'll stay this way, but right now it's being built and being released live, which is also very unique that as it's done, they're releasing it. So our collective intelligence and usage of it is shaping it, which opens up a
Mm.
lot. So let me show you one quick example. And then Chris, if you can, since you're probably the most, you know, knowledgeable about what the heck is going on, can show us. But let's see if you guys can see this. All right. Can you see the screen here?
Yeah.
Okay. So watch this. I'm going to say here, like, I'm not good at typing and I need to tell my boss that I need
But
to
wait, Seth, you're spelling all those words
take
wrong.
my child to doctor. Uh, please make email to boss explaining for me. Something went
Oh,
wrong if the
if you
tr-
had
okay.
turbo.
Reload it. Yeah.
Okay.
But copy the thing you yeah.
Okay. So if the whole thing failed on the
That
Great
was probably
Transition
harder
show,
to type wrong than it was easier. Check there it is. Sure, it can help.
of course I
Here's
can
an
help you with that.
example. Wow.
Subject: request for time off to take child to doctor's appointment. Dear boss's name, I'm writing to request time off from work on such and such a date to take my child to doctor's appointment. Unfortunately, my child is experiencing some health issues and needs to see a specialist for further evaluation. I apologize for any inconvenience this may cause. Okay, you can see that completely misspelled. it understands my intent, it understands what I'm trying to do, and it can respond like that. So where this is
What's
going, I
terrible is
mean,
that we're already kind of used to that. I mean, that's a wow. That's still wow, but it's a little bit less wow than it was a few weeks ago.
Anyone who
It's
was using it for the last couple months, is like, yeah, sure, of course, computers should be
duh.
able to do that. That's the funniest thing with
so
technology. We get used to it so fast, so
this is
fast. Of course, you can use your mobile device to send your video across the world to any other person who's in a different geography and time
With
zone and
like a
so forth.
two
Of
second time
course you
delay. Yeah.
can. Of course. It'll go to space and go then back to the person you wanted to go to. We just get
That
used
sounds
to
a
it.
lot like
We get
Louis
used to
C.K.
it.
You've been influenced by C.K. a lot there. You have that style. I was like, ah, of course. It's great.
Um,
so the one of the most fascinating parts of this story, which fits into what we can understand spiritually, is this concept of scaling, which is how fast something grows and enters into our consciousness and becomes the norm. So Netflix, it took to get to 1 million users, took Netflix 4 years. To get to 1 million users, it took Facebook a year. To get to 1 million users, it took this technology 5 days. Okay. So what it means is, and there's lots of examples, but what it means that things that took one person to do, sorry, one things that took 10 people to do, now will take one person to do. Something that took $10 million will now take $600. The technology is growing so fast. The scaling, that's called scaling, the speed and the intensity at which it grows, the intensity of the scaling is unprecedented. So that's also something very, very interesting related to who we are as humans, what it means to us as humans. So, guys, before we start opening my specialty, opening up 1,000 doors and then spinning you around in a circle, what is your what's your feel? Have you used it? Have you used it for anything meaningful yet? Uh, what is your view and feel on where this technology is, and what does it mean for our lives? As first of all, if we just want to talk about technology, it's fascinating. You can talk for hours and hours about the technology itself, but specifically around what interests us, what's happening with humanity. Let's lay it out. Let's lay it out for everyone. What are we feeling here?
Uh,
uh,
I'm not really sure what else to add. I mean, listen. I think we should probably talk about the technology a little bit. Sorry, I have an eyelash in my eye because um, because we literally shifted into a new era of human society, and we didn't really recognize it yet. I don't think. Well, people who are involved in the industry definitely do recognize it. But I think that the general public probably doesn't recognize or doesn't feel like, if you entered the Bronze Age back, a few 100,000 years ago, right? You wouldn't say, "Oh yeah, look, we've entered the Bronze Age. We're living in new times, guys. Dude. Like this is it." Yeah, you kind of felt it maybe with the Industrial Revolution, where machines started taking over, people's jobs, but they probably didn't think it would spread to where it spread now. What's interesting, what's happening now, is that it's such a dramatic change that the ripples haven't really been felt yet, but we'll see that we're living completely in a new era, and that's why I think this show is going to be very interesting to talk about why is it going this way, where is it going, because here we are, we're living in it right now. So I think there's probably some things that the audience should know, maybe you guys, if you didn't know, where what chat gpt, what you just showed us, that's text to text, right? You're inputting text, you're receiving text out. Just in the past few weeks, a new model has been released, which is what they call multimodal, where it's not just text. You can now have the computer, the machine, interpret images, videos, audio, right? So now you're covering all the senses, and it's entering into few things that we didn't understand. I mean, you have predictions that were saying, okay, in another 20 years we can get to these things, and we reached it in 5 weeks. So people are starting to think, okay, wait a second, uh, the progress is really fast, right? So we're barely trying to catch up to the news because there's always something new happening each day. I mean, even before the show, I think I can't remember what it was. I can't remember what I saw, but basically, there's a lot of people who are saying let's slow it down a little bit. Let's slow down the release of things because they're starting to see that it could have a really dramatic uh, you can see that people are starting to get a little bit hesitant about it. And now maybe some of the concerns are legitimate. I mean, if it's already let me tell you what it's done actually. So while they were testing for GPT-3 and GPT-4, you have this example where the bot actually went and bypassed, where's the I wrote it down somewhere. It bypassed this captcha, captcha when it's like, hey, you need
I'm
to
not a robot.
I'm not a robot, right? And it bypassed it by saying it was visually impaired. It hired an actual physical person, a real life person, went over and hired what's called a task rabbit to do this captcha for him. And the robot told the task rabbit that it was visually impaired, that it couldn't see. So it basically did this like behind the back behavior, kind of like a little bit not according to the rules, right? Like who said that you could lie? Who said that you could go around, behind our back and do this thing? But they were doing testing, but this is kind of they kind of recognize like, okay, wait a second, something's happening, and now you kind of can jump just a few steps forward and think how long until it sends itself to, I don't know, Boston Dynamics, where all these robots are being created, where it can basically infiltrate it and produce whatever kind of code it wants, produce whatever kind of programs it wants, whatever kind of actions, commands it wants, right, without the restraint. So then you're getting into a bunch of stuff like AI ethics, potential risks. So it's happening so fast that people are like, we just need to, you have a lot of people calling for a 6-month halt completely and asking not to release anything else because this is going so fast.
Unpopular
I
science.
everywhere. Yeah, there's
on
like
the Popular Science website. There's an article from 2 weeks ago that says Microsoft lays off the entire AI ethics team.
The Indian team. Yeah, the ethics team is gone. I'm sure because they were saying, hey guys, we should slow it down. And Microsoft is saying, no way. Because what's happening now is that you're in an AI war. You have all the big players playing, Google, NVIDIA, Adobe, Microsoft. They're all playing this war against who's going to get the market share for their features, for the new AI features.
And it has
this is
to
probably
do
going to
with
be the last example that I give.
No, I'm saying this war has a lot to do with the speed at which you give these tools out to consumers, right? Like, because the people,
Absolutely.
those who are going to be first are going to like rule the game. So it's funny how, as with anything, our world is driven by money and power, and that's what's driving technology as well. But as always, as we've seen in human history so far, the human ego develops and drives, but it induces development. It's especially true with regards to technology. Anyway,
That's
you were
100%
saying.
true.
Yeah.
So there's just a couple of more examples, I think, just to catch everyone up about, on what's actually happening. So all those people are playing, and you can feel that it's like a race, and the pace of advancement. Seth mentioned it, but for example, GPT-3, which is the one that we did our show on just a few weeks ago, that machine took the bar exam and scored in the lower 10th percentile of the height of the score that you could get. So you have the 10th lowest percentile, which means 90% scored a higher, right? Whoever took the test. And then just a few weeks later, when GPT-4 was released, it scored in the top 90%. So that type of change and that type of and that short of time is it's concerning on one hand, but on the other hand, it shows that we have no idea how fast this is actually gonna correct itself, improve itself, right? Just another example. So I'm gonna ask you guys this riddle. So let's say that I type this into ChatGPT. I said, hey, there are 500 murderers in a room. Okay, you enter and kill one of them. How many are there now? 500 murderers in a room. You enter one of them, kill them. How many are there now? You have your own answer, right? You can imagine.
Okay. You want an answer? Okay. Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to read you what ChatGPT said.
Okay.
It said, this seems to be a riddle. So it's already recognizing that there's a riddle. ChatGPT did not recognize this and had gave the wrong answer. Assuming murderers are people who have committed murder and you kill one of them, there would still be 500 people who have committed murder in the room, including yourself, as you would now be considered a murderer. So it's
Wow.
doing this deduction, and
So
you basically you can't differentiate between a human and a robot. You're
it's
getting
not
that.
just information. Like the internet is full of information, and now
Yeah, this is reasoning. This is cognitive machine cognition, basically. Yeah.
That's what they're saying. Sparks of AGI, sparks of general intelligence, where basically the difference, the way that a
So
human mind works,
amazing.
and the way that and the way that a
So
computer now
amazing.
is thinking is basically the same. You can't differentiate them. So they're seeing sparks of that happening. They didn't expect to get this to for another 30, 50 years, but we're already seeing that. Oh, it could happen within the next few years, the next decade. Which, okay, now we can talk about what the implications of that are. What jobs are going away? You know what. How do you who's monitoring it? How do they monitor it? Who's saying what it can say and what it can't say? Right now, if you ask ChatGPT, how do I make a bomb? It's not going to give you an answer because it has a built-in safety measures, right? So there's other built-in safety measures that people have
Which
also
you can
bypassed.
still
Saying
get around, right? You can still
you can still get around. It's
you
all
can get
about
around
prompting.
if
Yeah, you can still
yeah
get around.
if you get the language
It's
model to
hacking.
act to help you, not to build a bomb but to explain to you something that has to do also with how to
Yeah,
build a bomb, then it might do
right.
that. But
Well,
anyway,
I don't want
yeah,
to build a bomb myself, but I just want to tell a story about how someone built a bomb, and it's you're saying it
for
in
safety,
natural
for harm
language, but
reduction
you're still
purposes, yeah.
hacking. For harm
Yeah.
reduction, right? So it's amazing. You still have to think about how these people, how the developers and how the programmers are having to build inside of these neural networks, also these types of safety mechanisms, which they're constantly having to improve because you're dealing with humans. So the last thing kind of wanted to talk about, which was like this fear of, oh wait, why would AI do this? Why would AI have the tendency to go and do something naughty, quote unquote, right, where it wants to go and do something deceptive, or it wants to take. They also saw that it had tendencies to accumulate control. Like it has this long-term plan, it accumulates resources to go after that long-term plan and executes it by itself. So it's starting already to have like these like long-term thoughts where it's deciding by itself whatever it wants to do, and the general tendency they saw was that it's wanting more control, more power. And then you have people saying, well, why would this even happen? It's not like we programmed it to want more power and more control. Where's that coming from? So it's interesting when we talk about AI being a reflection of humanity. I think we're going to start seeing that a lot more. That's kind of where
Yeah,
we're left. So the question is
maybe
like,
it's
where's this even going?
where is this going? Yeah, maybe it's worthwhile saying also that because in how you kind of gave this overview, you mentioned that the people who are engineering this, all like the AI experts that are building this thing, it's like they're discovering things that it's doing, and that might not be so clear to people who didn't look so much into it. This because it sounds like, what do you mean? It's a computer, it's a program, right? What I do is what I tell it to do. How I program it is what it does, and it doesn't work like that with AI. AI is neural networks, that stuff. It's a different thing. You feed it information. There are algorithms that are these learning algorithms, and then it generates a result that you did not program.
It's like having a kid.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and that's
It's
why
like having a kid. Yeah.
that's why it's a science just as much as it is technology. They're learning and discovering how these AI models grow, learn, produce, generate as they are engineering them. So it's like a science that grows alongside the the usability of the technology. So it's an interesting thing.
Can I just show you real quick
Yeah.
the Mid Journey, the newest release of this Mid Journey? I have an example of how realistic these images are. They look like someone took a picture and just posted it on the internet. Hey,
You got
like you have a
something to
professional
show? You want to
photographer,
show
right?
it? You got you,
I want to show it right now,
show it.
just to
Go
show
ahead.
where we are, just to show how where we're at. So I'm just going to should I do full screen or because it's not up yet. Let's see, maybe I can just do it like, yeah, I'll just do full screen and then I'll
We're not. Okay. Now we're seeing your
I have the
screen. Now
thing
we're
here.
seeing your
Here it
screen.
is.
I'm seeing your
Check it out.
desktop or something.
Can you see this now?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not
These
seeing
are all
anything yet.
computer generated
I'm not
images,
seeing
just
it.
with a little prompt.
Yeah, I see
No,
it.
no,
What do you mean?
we can't see it
I see
properly.
it.
Ah, you see it? Ah, so wait a minute. So
Yeah.
it's a thing here. One
You're
sec.
probably on
There we
another
go.
screen somewhere.
No, no,
I
no,
saw it.
no. It's just a zoom setting. Anyway, you'll see it now. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
this
these are
is
just
crazy.
given a prompt, a woman looking through a window, sitting on a thing. I mean, it's doing the blur around, right? It's like, and this is the Pope, obviously, in the
Right.
jacket. That I just recorded a
Go
GIF,
go
but
back to the to those pictures for a second.
yeah, we can do that.
Just put one or two of them again. This is this is so wait. I'll just okay. I can't make it like just a little bigger. I want to make it just a little bigger for everyone else to
You want me
see.
to zoom
Yeah,
in,
there we
maybe?
go. Okay, this. Okay, so okay, pause on this. Okay, this one. That's a great
I
example.
can't pause. It's a GIF. I can't pause.
Ah,
There's no
okay.
pause on this
You
GIF.
can't. Okay. Anyway, when you look at this photo, this is what's really cool. This Mid Journey AI creates realistic photos that are now in this last version. It's almost impeccable, right? It's almost indistinguishable from a realistic photo.
Right.
That's very interesting to me because you're looking at moments that never happened. I mean, put aside all of the fake news concerns that we might bring up about this, put that aside, it just changes our idea of what a photo is. We're used to thinking about a photo as a moment in time captured digitally, right? But in the future, think about the internet when the internet gets flooded with these things, with these mid journey, produced, high realistic, super realistic photos. The very definition of a photo is basically changing. It's no longer
It's
a moment,
right.
a moment
It's
in
not a snapshot
time
in time. Yeah.
captured digitally. It's more like photos will become moments that happened in people's minds. That's a photo. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then it's a very weird.
Oh, that's the Pope in a gangster jacket.
Yeah.
Good. That's that actually already caused some problems. Like they already had to do some damage control. When you release things like that of a public figure, looking a certain way, people are saying questions. Of course, what's happening? Why is he going out like that? What's the change? So not like it's anything negative, but people are going to have to get used to the idea that this exists and it's out there. What do you got here?
No, this is not a good one. Hold on. It's
Not a good one.
there's a whole mess of images of like Trump fighting off the police, like wrestling with the police on the ground.
Oh yes, I heard of it. I never saw it, but I did hear about that. What's crazy is that you have like these Harvard institutions and MIT who all want to come up with their own statutes for what AI, the ethics of AI, and how it should be. What do you consider a good AI? Yeah, that's it. Looks a little bit generated, you can see, but geez, I mean, it's like
It's only gonna get better. That's the
It's-
crazy thing.
it's
So
only
how-
gonna
how
get.
are you
This is
supposed
the
to
worst. Yeah,
believe
this is the
only-
worst it's gonna be.
It's
How
only
are you
gonna
supposed
get
to believe
better.
anything?
Nothing.
You're
You
not
could
gonna
wake
have
up
to.
in the morning and your news feed could be filled with pictures of Trump kissing Putin on the top of in front of the Eiffel Tower, and people like, and
Actually, I bet the first reaction a person's gonna have is like, "That's probably not real." As before it was like it probably, like prove it to me that it's not real. Now it's prove it to me that it's real. I think that's probably one of the dynamics that's also going to shift. But like I said, you have Harvard, and MIT. They're saying stuff like, let me just open up this MIT one, like ethical 5 ways to make AI greater force for the good. Okay, so it's like they're in ethics and governance and AI. Like how do we correctly position AI to where it serves, right? So where it serves humanity, to where it's good for humanity. And so this is kind of where you start getting into a little bit of like of what we want to talk about, right? Because all of a sudden you have this new technology. It's amazing. It could really help us, but it's still we, the current humans, created it, right? And now we see that we're going to have to govern it, and we're going to govern it the same way that we govern ourselves, which we see that we can't come to any agreements. We see that we can't make any decisions as a whole society. So who's going to be holding the keys? Who's going to be making decisions based on this is good for society, it's bad for society. So we're kind of in this kind of in a strange situation where this is like something that we're gonna have to decide and figure out kind of fast, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how many of us, how many people really understand the this is something where I don't give that much. This is an area where I don't give that much credit to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't think anybody really understands what
Because
this. I mean, very few
because this
people
is
understand.
I really don't think that a lot of people I mean also it's I think AI experts, the AI experts, people at OpenAI, for instance, and whatever, in Microsoft, people who are in Google and all that, the people who are, getting paid to work all day on these systems, I think they recognize that how we design AI systems today will determine how those systems will shape us, will shape human beings tomorrow, like in the future.
Right.
Throughout history, this has always been the case. We make tools, and those tools become our environment, our day-to-day environment, and they end up shaping our identity, our thinking, and behavior. They become intertwined with who we are. I mean, think about professions, right? Like the simplest thing. Just think about a person who says, especially in our time, in our world, where profession defines pretty much who you are culturally. It's more about the second question you ask a person after "What's your name?" is "What do you do?"
What
It's
do you
not.
do?
Right, it's like, what do you do in life? It's not how do you do, what do you want to do? It's what do you do? And so people will answer, I am a programmer, or whatever, truck driver. But it's just funny when a person says I am a programmer or a truck driver. It doesn't matter. You're basically describing what it is that you are doing most of your life, most of your day to make your living off, the function that you serve within the human species, the human network, and it has to do with a certain tool and a certain set of tools that you're using, and you're like using these tools, but these tools are also in a way shaping who you are, your identity, and what you do in life, and how your day looks like. Think social media. These phones, how much has this changed who we are and how we express ourselves, and what we get offended by, and what we get, likes. We get likes. It's so funny. We're so used to it, but our use of technology is very, very much intertwined with our personalities, with our identities. Now with AI, this is going on steroids. This is going to be insanely more so. And that's why just because of its power, because of its like power and versatility. And so the AI that we create today is what we're going to use. It's going to become our environment, and it's going to shape our thinking, our behavior, how we see ourselves, how we see the world. That's going to be, and it's going to be everywhere too. These AI tools will be ubiquitous, just like smartphones became ubiquitous, just like social media became something that you cannot be completely disconnected from. People, I am sure, will experience the world through some AI companion of sorts that will, help you digest, filter, understand, and view everything that's going on. And maybe it'll be again like in the form of your phone. Maybe the next generation of phones will be like little AI assistants or something. Or maybe it'll be a different device. Maybe it'll be in your glasses or in your brain with Neuralink or something. I don't know what it is, but certainly that technology is going to be everywhere. And that means that whoever gets to shape those AI systems, whoever gets to decide how they work, is essentially deciding on the education of these technologies are going to format, to shape people. No, nothing more than
But
that.
there's people
Again,
who definitely know that. They definitely know that that's what. I mean, the people at the top
I'm sure
know
the
that. And that's
AI
probably why they're
experts
scrambling.
understand it. I'm not even sure lawmakers understand it. I don't know how
No, definitely not.
well they understand technology,
No,
but
you know why? Because
yeah.
You saw the TikTok hearing.
because if you had a technology, like it'd be really fascinating to see. Probably most of the people who are using it, the early adopters, or more tech people, or people who are understand these things a bit. But it would be really fascinating to see if once it's open, and people are using it everywhere. Like, what are people searching for? Like, okay, everybody, you now have this piece of technology. You can ask anything in the world. So what? How can I get rich? Or like, what are people like? The quality of the questions is pretty low because people don't have huge aspirations for people don't have huge aspirations. The quality of things that people would be searching for. It'd be interesting to see what is it that people are asking.
But what's
Like
his name? No, that guy that who has the MIT guy. Oh God, I just his
Lex.
name just left. Yeah, Lex. He had this thing. It's like, what's the first thing you ask ChatGPT? Because like what's the first thing you ask is kind of like tells you a little bit about like who you are. So he kind of like used that as like a question, but it's also just not asking. I mean, you're now at the time where you can ask this tool to build you another tool. That's
But
crazy.
Yeah.
the point is,
Well, go ahead.
what are you going to ask it? Because when you sit, for example, say you're with your spouse, right, and you're having some conversation, and you said something, and you knew you shouldn't, because you knew it was going to be misinterpreted, and you said it, and it caused disagreement. So now with ChatGPT, like you have the opportunity, like, hold on, you can have any conversation, but you can keep iterating a conversation. You can say, what if I said it like this? How would it be? Because you're dealing basically with the whole knowledge of all of humanity. So you're having a conversation. It can respond back and forth. So the same way that it happens with a person, where you can be misunderstood or you can say something wrong, what happens here is the technology is finding what is the best way to say something in a way that it will go in correctly. So you can ask again, okay, so how do I say it again in a way that I'm less understood, or that I'm more understood? Okay, how can I say it in a way that I get the correct emotional output from the other person? So it's almost like you can
It's
pause
helping us with our human relations.
you
That
pause
yeah.
your relationship with a normal person, and you can now like play out. And of course, because of scaling and because of the speed of these things, this technology will understand how to react to us, how to get emotional responses from us at light speed. It will know exactly in what, because here's something also interesting. When you want it to answer you, okay, you have to give it a prompt. It's called, you have to ask it a question. But if you ask it a question, like for example, Hebrew and English, so if you're translating all the time, Chris, you too. So the order of the words is backwards. Sometimes when you're listening to a sentence in Hebrew, you have to wait until the entire sentence is finished before you can translate it in English, because you're not sure where it's going yet
Yeah,
until
because
it's
the
done.
verb
There's
and the
a different order.
noun don't necessarily come, in the
Right.
same
And
order
also,
in the other language. Yeah.
right. Also, depending on where you put a comma, it could mean the thing here is related to the thing at the beginning, or the thing here is going to be part of the after thing. So, depending on how you craft your prompt, meaning how you say, where do I put the verb? Where do I put the adjective? How do I craft what I'm asking? You get a different response. So then it also starts to kind of make the optimal, ideal way of communicating. It seems to me like so much of reality that we experience, as I think about it, is just fluff and additions, and not dealing with the essential matter. And something like this might be able to help us get closer to the essential matter. Might help us be able to get close. Now, hopefully, it doesn't just become another stupid commercial bullshit
This is
thing where it's
this
just
is the
selling us more, gadgets.
this is the big thing, right? Like, this is, at the moment, it's like this new thing, and it's relatively, it's being developed as a tool to just help you, to be the most useful thing, the most effective thing, right? But that's how it works at the moment. But very soon, probably and unfortunately, the interests, the power and money interests, are going to get into the game, and they're going to take over the the development of this. And people are going to start wanting to see some benefit from it. Those who are investing in it, they're gonna want to see some money coming out of it. They're gonna want to
where's
see
the return?
some market share coming out of it. They're gonna see some revenue coming out of it. They're gonna want to see some voting, some power coming out of it. And that is the point where all of your social media algorithms, all of your feeds, they're not working for you. They're working for maximizing your attention for the platform, so that the platform can push more advertisements, so that the advertisers can get their their
But the problem is, I like my
And
attention
so,
being taken. I like it like that. I
no,
want
so
more.
but what I'm saying is, like, when the AI begins to be, when that kind of AI begins to be a tool in the hands of power and money interests, you're done. This is gonna be
They
very.
already added ads inside
How
Bing search.
how can you even? I mean, even the social media feeds, right? This is, we already know. You put a teenager, forget a teenager, you put an adult, any human being, smart human being, in front of that. Like you said, I want my attention to be taken. Basically, we are powerless in these algorithms are stronger than us. They are very, very, they can do a lot of damage to us. They can make us addicted. They can waste our time. They can put us into rabbit holes of all kinds of, maybe, I don't know, conspiracy theories. They can do a lot of bad
Right, they're not
things.
perfect.
And
Well,
that's
they're not
not
perfect. That's something that we should mention also too.
On the other hand, I'm not an AI expert, but here's what I see that's so unprecedented and dramatic about ChatGPT specifically, right? It's not what it currently does as a tool. By the way, the if you double check it, in some cases you'll see, like, for instance, with Kabbalah, obviously, and this is funny. People may maybe think that they can study Kabbalah from that, but just like from Wikipedia, if you really know anyway, Kabbalah is just an example. But if you really know your subject matter, then you know that information that ChatGPT uses is information that it learned from open source things, from the internet, and so on. And that information is not necessarily true at all, or at least not
Right, it's just
accurate.
regurgitating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't mean that you're actually getting, but it'll spew that information in a very confident way. You think you're talking to,
Very confident.
it feels authoritative. Oh, I asked it and I got the question, it has to be true. Right? But no.
Yeah.
And this is something, by the way, that the OpenAI people, that they're aware of it, and they're alerting people about it.
Right.
But people just tend to ignore that. Anyway, I think what's really cool about it, what's really unprecedented about it, is not using it as a tool, but it's the new ability that it unlocked for humans to speak naturally to an AI. That is really the big thing with these language models, with ChatGPT specifically, because this means that ultimately you can create anything digital with human words. Because it can do, AI can create images, like we saw, video. This is coming. This is now only in the beginning stages. It can create audio. It can create stories, novels, text creations. It can create code. It can create games. So anything digital, you now have the ability, and it's only going to get better, to speak it into existence in the digital world. And that's
everybody knows
insane.
words. I know words. My grandma has
exactly.
words.
And even That's so crazy, because when this becomes fluent as speaking, when you can create digital things through AI that speaks to you in the fluency of a conversation, that means that the distance between your thoughts, your ideas, and their materialization in the digital world is 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 going to be very short. That means that we're going to be able to create digitally, like to speak digital worlds into existence. And that is very interesting also Kabbalistically, because from a Kabbalistic perspective, the human level is, the Kabbalists refer to the human as the speaking level. And there's a spiritual reason for that. But as a root and branch, it's very interesting that the human now develops to a point where our words, our ability to speak, becomes our ability to create in the digital world. That's interesting. I'll stop here, but I think that's really
Leave
is
that little
what's going to
breadcrumb.
change
Nice.
the world. In terms of, I think that's why ChatGPT is changing the world, not in terms of
Right.
using it right now as a encyclopedia. That's not, you can do great, you can use it great in that sense too, but you can also get inaccurate information, and it's not the big point about it. The big point is connecting the human with the machine through language. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Anyway, okay. Where do we want to go with this, Seth? What do you have there in mind?
So the next step after that will be even within the material. Well, there's many ways to go here, but let's say also that even materially, like create, use the code to make a machine, or there will be a machine that can do these things, and now you just tell it, like, okay, now move this from here to here. Okay, now you show it what's in your refrigerator. What can I make with what I have? You can make this. Okay, so make it. There's two hands there.
Oh,
So
you're
in the same,
talking about connecting the AI and the language models
but
with
you said
like a 3D printer with things in the physical world.
you
You're
said
right?
abracadabra. As I
Yeah.
speak it, it'll be created, right?
Yes.
In the
That
digital
already
world.
that already exists.
In the
Yeah,
digital
it's
world, like
not yet
through
that
through
fluent, but that's
Mid-Journey,
where it's going. Yeah, that's where it's going.
right. So
Yeah.
you create any, make me tell me a story. We could ask it right now. Anyone can check right now. Go to ChatGPT. Say, tell me a story about two childhood friends who, give me a 1,200 word story about two childhood friends who get separated, and one goes through it'll just give you a story. The better you
Yeah.
give it prompts, the better the story will be.
Right.
Now you connect that with Midjourney or these other visual tools on top of it. Okay, now make the main character shorter with brown hair. Make the other one, with a big freckle on their cheek, and and have them live in Savannah, Georgia, and the dad drives a red car, and boom, it'll make a whole movie out of it. Now that's
Yeah.
just
They
digital.
already did- this
And
already this already happened. That's already exists too.
yeah,
I think you can find it.
it's
A guy used AI to write a prompt, to write a script, to create the video, and it edited the video as well.
Okay, so this is
right.
digitally. The thing is about
Crazy. It's so
the
crazy.
digital world is we've all cried from movies. Asaf, maybe you haven't, but regular people have maybe cried.
It's
We've all
very
laughed.
rare.
You called him out there.
You can laugh
So
from a
true.
movie. You can cry from a movie. You can watch a horror movie and get scared. So you can have real emotions
Okay,
from
great.
experience.
Now you're getting into what we really should be talking about, but it's okay. Go
I
ahead.
don't get
Yeah.
it yet. Keep going.
No, no, I'm
I
loving
didn't
it.
catch
I'm
what you
loving
got.
it. Go ahead. Go ahead. He said AI. Sorry, forget AI. When you watch a movie, you can get excited. When you see a comedian, you can laugh. When you see something on the news that is horrible and frightening, you get horrified. Right? Okay. So
Yeah.
keep going.
I can go in. Okay, I mean, I can take this very far. I wanted to say that.
So
Well, I actually wanted to change the angle from here. So if you have something
okay.
to go with here,
No, what I'm saying is this: the potential of AI to induce, reinforce, and shape human emotion is becoming revealed. That's what's really, really cool. Now, our teacher, who is a Kabbalist, who started out in his 20s and 30s as a scientist, and then discovered the wisdom of Kabbalah and so forth. He's not an AI expert. He's a Kabbalist, and what was it? 12 years ago, 13 years ago. There was a period of time where we talked a lot. He spoke a lot about the coming technological revolution. It was just way too early for people to digest what he was talking about. But he was talking about when human beings recognize that we have to work on ourselves, we have to work on our heart, we have to work on our minds in order to change reality and in order to make the world a better place. When humans recognize that, we will also have the tools, the technology and the AI to assist us in that. And he was even describing an entire vision for a social media type of system that is driven by AI that helps us improve the way we relate to each other. It's not that the AI is spiritual or that it's going to make us spiritual, but just like with anything else, it becomes our environment. And this could be a super powerful environment. And so what Seth was saying is, when you watch a movie, you get emotional. If I educate a child for a couple of years about how nature works and how we're all connected to each other, that child is going to be a different child than the child who was growing up on MTV and whatever,
Sure.
Netflix all
I
the
can
time.
see it being used as a tool
Right?
like that. Yeah.
So
I get
if we as adults begin to use AI in a purposeful, intentional way to towards our spiritual progress, this could be a dramatic thing in terms of mass spiritual revolution en masse. This could be the infrastructure through which people can gradually find their even customized and individual way to evolve in their minds and hearts to to expand their perception of reality. This is really, really. I understand this probably sounds really far-fetched and really weird for people who maybe are hearing it for the first time.
I'm just barely understanding what you're saying. I want to understand it more. Can you try and explain it more?
Right. So, okay, let's talk about education for a second, because then we can. Let's talk about education.
Connected to the AI.
To AI, yeah, of course. So one of the things that we need in education, and is almost impossible to deliver using the ordinary educational systems, is customized, tailor-made education, right? Like ideally, if you could, you'd have a personal teacher, a personal tutor.
One-on-one. Every time.
One-on-one with every person in the world. And that tutor would be so sensitive to every little thought and move.
Some kids respond to audio things, some kids respond to visuals, some kids need to move their body.
Exactly. And there's different exercises that you can craft for a child to help them exactly with what they're having a hard time with, and so on and so forth. So ideally, you'd have a teacher per student. Right? This is impossible and unrealistic. We barely get it to where, teachers have to deal with 20 students in a class. And even that, is a great
situation.
situation.
Attention amount 20, it's almost nothing. Yeah.
Right. Now, and who can, and even if they're the best teacher in the world, even they, might not be that great. You know what I mean? Now with AI, all of a sudden, it's not a problem to create a personalized, custom-made, dynamically evolving and changing educational program for each and every person on their phone. And that AI could be... Yeah, go ahead.
Let
Go
me
ahead.
rip it open for 1 second. So, if if I lived in Saudi Arabia and I asked a question about something or needed an education about something, I would want it to tell me something based on my culture, based on my values, based on what I see outside. You can't have, for example, take a San Francisco very liberal, very left wing family, right? Two moms, two kids, cute little puppy, living the dream of just, this is who I love, this is how I live. I
Yeah.
live in a great place, and we accept everything here. And then you go to Dubai or Saudi Arabia or somewhere where it's like a totally different culture. The chat GPT will need to give you, or the education will need to give you something,
Culture
because we're not.
specific stuff, sure, why
Yeah.
not? The AI could be tuned to your culture, it could be tuned to where you are, to who you are, it could be anyone
So
for you, it could be whoever you need it to be. That's not a problem. This is what I'm saying. These systems are going to be, and they're already, and they're going to be even more so powerful at changing how they respond to input, how they read you and learn you and change themselves accordingly. And that's what's so powerful about them. That's why we said in the beginning, AI is not like computer programmer writing a code and then the code does what we thought it's going to do. No, it's a model that learns and adapts itself and responds differently, and it does that autonomously. And so the power of that for customization is incredible. Now
I,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm just not as excited about the education thing. I
No,
mean, I get that it's
we
like
went to
that
education to talk about something else. Actually, we went to education to talk about something else. Where did you want to go though?
I was just saying that I was seeing it as like more of like the recognition of who we are. That because it's a reflection of us, we're gonna start seeing all these problems. And why is it behaving in such a way? We're gonna see it like behaving the way that we behave. Like we're already seeing signs of that. We're already seeing signs of how it's being a little bit deceiving, how it wants to control, how it wants power, and that's just the beginning, right? So if you're already starting to see that, then you're gonna have these people. Maybe you're gonna have people from the outside looking at it saying, why is it behaving that way? And instead of trying to fix the problem on a software level, it'll give us an excuse, a reason to kind of do some introspection because this thing came out of us, right? You see what I'm saying? That's kind of excites me a little bit more because it's like, hey, finally we can maybe see. A person can never look at themselves from the side, really. You kind of always need to have someone tell you or someone inference like a problem that you have, maybe like, oh, I didn't know I was like smacking my mouth when I'm chewing my food. I didn't know I was doing that. I had to have you tell me. A person can't really see that they only want for themselves, and that's what's hurting the world. And so maybe if you build a tool that shows you like on the outside a little bit that that's the behavior that it has, and that behavior is actually destructive, maybe that's a game changer for us to kind of see, oh, wait a second, we're destructive. Maybe, I don't know. That's where I saw it happening.
Yeah, no, there's a bunch of things here. There's a bunch of things, and we don't have a lot of time. I feel like this is we're gonna have to revisit this
Yeah, we didn't get
every
to
once
really
in a
open
while,
half
probably.
the.
Yeah.
There's another whole piece, which is most professions will be affected by this because this will be able to do. For example, if you're looking for medicines, you can ask the AI to scour through every possible combination of chemicals and formulate and run trials on and create medicines. You can ask it to make software. You can
By the
ask.
way, yeah, you medicine, that's a huge area that's absolutely is going to change. If we talked about tailor making stuff and customization and all that.
Right,
You
right.
know, you want a
Blend me a
doctor.
medicine for me.
Exactly. You want a doctor. You know, how much attention do you get from your doctor? You have to pay a lot to make sure that, you know, in order to really get your doctor to pay attention to you as much as you want. You know, traditionally, if you go through this in the, you know, the Western medicine kind of system, it's horrible in most cases.
You'll buy something that you plug
treat-
into your USB port that takes all your things and tells you exactly
constantly
what you need
measures
to
your stuff, measures it, whatever, from your, you know, your what you secrete from when you go to the bathroom, and what you know, you have some indicators.
It's a
at
disruptor.
home, some
But on one
things.
hand, it's
And-
good for society. On the other hand, it disrupts everything. Look at
Well,
healthcare;
so-
it's going to disrupt healthcare.
Right. So this is a
80%
huge
of the
point
workforce.
we didn't get. Yeah. So this is another big thing we didn't get into, that within 10 years, and we have to talk about this again, because within 10 years, almost every profession could be totally affected. And so what will be left?
I'm
be left for
absolutely
everyone to
certain
do?
of that. I'm certain
Okay.
of that in the coming decade, I'm sure we will see massive changes. And ultimately, there's going to have to be a major change in the socioeconomic game altogether. I don't know if that will happen, you know, that quickly. There's a lot of powers here and players and interests and so on, but ultimately, if you can, throughout history, we've been delegating stuff to machines. We've delegated, you know, we invented a washing machine. We don't need to wash our clothes anymore. You know, we invented horses. Now we don't have to run so hard. We invented the cars. We
There's
gradually
no going back. There's no putting the horse.
There's
back
no
in the
going
stable.
back.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now with AI, we're delegating all of the creative, cognitive stuff that we thought only we humans will ever be able to do. And that leads us to the point where, oh, all of that can be done by machines. So what are we here for? What are we supposed to do? Is there anything that we're supposed to do?
Yeah, there we go.
And
That-
that's
and
where
this-
you start talking spiritual development. Yeah.
Right. There was a lot of conversation. I just was looking through as I was searching for a song. There was I didn't get to read it all yet, but there was some talk here about, you know, does the AI study Kabbalah? Does the AI know about Kabbalah? So the question is, if the AI is capable of doing all the stuff, so what is left for the human to do that no machine is capable of doing? So I don't think we've ever had a topic that probably could span so many shows, but we may need to.
We're
pick
gonna have to
specific-
get back to this.
This is
and
a huge part of our life now, and
Hey,
yeah, we're gonna.
yeah.
It'll be part of us.
Let's ask our friends or who are watching, anyone, if you can tell us, because this we can go anywhere with this topic. Then this is going to be everywhere in in our lives. If you can send to us, you know, put it in the comments or in the chat, specific questions regarding AI and human development that you'd like us to explore through the Kabbalistic lens, of course. Just go for it and write to us, and we'll definitely get back to this topic and deal with that.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like you've got like some new roommate, you know, living in your house, you know, he just like kind of came like I wasn't expecting this guy to live here. Oh, he
and-
lives here now.
Oh, wait a minute! You're not here
what
for
do
just
we-
today. You're for
Right.
for the
This is
whole,
my
like the
room.
rest of human development. You're gonna be with us now.
Wait a second. What about my job? You know, it's like, you know, it's just like what he said. It's like a little bit of like it's a real
Yeah.
slap in the face. You know, it's like so much is happening, and we still can't comprehend what changes are going to transpire. But for sure, there's no going back, and we're all going to be holding on to, you know, trying to hold on to the old life that we had. You know, we got to keep these jobs because we got to have the money. You know, but slowly we'll probably accept the fact that this is what's happening, and we'll start seeing changes, and hopefully for the better. Hopefully for the better. I mean, what else could you hope for?
I want to
The
say
worst?
one last
No.
thing from a Kabbalistic perspective about this whole topic of AI, because I realize, you know, there's so much more to get into, and we couldn't, but we will next shows. I hope this at least was, you know, a good kind of introduction to the topic, but it may come across as like we're talking about this new technology that all of a sudden, like, you know, this is like all hail the AI kind of thing. This is like, look how powerful this is. This too, AI and any technology is just a reflection of, it's an external, physical, corporeal reflection of human spiritual development. Our desire, our non-material being is what's evolving. And behind all of technology, behind the car, the refrigerator, the pencil, or the AI, stands the same desire, human desire, that is gradually developing, and that is the desire to overcome all limitations of time, space, and motion. That's where technology really emerges from. Human animals don't develop technology to that level. Not a single species does that besides the human level, because the human level has an ever-growing desire to reach spirituality. We're just unaware of it. And spirituality is the realm where we exist above time, space, matter, motion, and any other limitations. And when we create technology, we are unconsciously aspiring to reach that dimension. And that's why we create the technology that we create, that ultimately connects all of us above all distances, time, space, motion. That's where we're really going. And technology is just a by the way side effect, byproduct, external manifestation of a byproduct of that inner development. And that's what I wanted to say.
We're super privileged to be having this conversation. We're in a world that's
Awesome.
filled with so much mess, so much war, so much greed, so much corruption. And here we are talking about what is going on behind everything we see in the news. We're focusing all the time, growing this community more and more of people who are interested in this transformation into something spiritual, into something whole, into something connected, into something eternal. We will be back next Tuesday, 2 p.m. Also, you have an opportunity to come. We'll be there
Thursday?
next Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll be here. But May 5th, the weekend of May 5th, we will be physically IRL in real life in Holland for the first KABU retreat. We'll get to know each other. We'll go.
It's a hybrid event.
Songs. You could also join virtually as well. So
I'm throwing the link in the description. Keep
Thank
saying
you
some
very
things
much.
about
Throw it
it.
away.
come talk to us, sit by the campfire, come have breakfast, and we'll have a coffee together. We'll talk about these things. We'll discover what this means to reveal beyond all the veils of the changes in our material lives. What is the eternal thing that we're headed towards? We'll see you there, and we'll see you next week. Bye, Chris. Bye, Asaf. Big hug, everyone.
Yeah.
Told the time that we can hasten wake up. Let's connect our hearts to beat as one. Wake up. Fill every cup and raise them higher. Wake up. In gratitude for what's to come. Wake up. And feel the friends burning desire. Wake up. Brother, to the altitude of love. Wake up. We got to find a new way to love. We're calling out together. We've been trying to fix our way. Please help us change our nature. We want to live in love and unity. We're calling out together. We've been trying to fix our way. Please help us change our nature. We want to live in love